Simon Ekpa has stated that Biafra will respect UN human rights treaties, which include Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, the International Convention on the Elimination of all forms of racial discrimination, the Convention on the Elimination of all forms of discrimination against women, the Convention on the Right of Child, amongst others. The Prime Minister of the Biafra Republic government in exile, His Excellency Mazi Simon Ekpa Njoko, stated that it will back all United Nations human rights treaties in its coming Biafra Declaration Convention, which has been scheduled to hold in Finland on the 29th of November to the 3rd of December 2024. Simon Ekpa, who disclosed this in a tweet, maintained that supporting all UN treaties on human rights is sufficient to amplify the continued marginalization of the Nigerian government against Biafrans and its people in the southeast region. He noted that Biafrans have been under attack in the history of Nigeria since 1967. He alleged that the continued marginalization of the Igbos in the southeast by the Nigerian government is the sole reason for self-rule. He stated that the Biafra government in exile will assent to all United Nations human rights treaties during the convention. According to his words, "We are agitating for Biafra's independence due to the persistent marginalization of the Igbos by the Nigerian government." This comes as Simon Ekpa announced that November 29, 2024 to December 3rd, 2024 is the day that Biafra will have its Independence Declaration Convention, which will be held in Finland. Record that since 2021, Nnamdi Kanu has been under detention by the Nigerian government over Biafra agitation. Southeast governors, groups from the region, and the presidential candidates of the Labour Party in the 2023 presidential election, Mr. Peter Obi, had vigorously drummed support for the release of Nnamdi Kanu as a panacea to peace in the region. Senators from the Southeast region had also met with the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, to demand the release of the IPOB leader. After the meeting, the lawmakers resolved to approach President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to beg for Nnamdi Kanu's freedom. But President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not prepared to release Nnamdi Kanu. Now let's dive deep into the full narrative of this whole story. The story of Biafra is long, complex, and filled with hope and heart attack. To understand why Simon Ekpa's recent statement about Biafra and human rights matter so much, we need to go back to the beginning. This isn't just a story about today's event. It is one that has been building for decades, starting with the Nigerian Civil War. Back in 1967, Nigeria was already a young country, just 7 years into its independence from British colonial rule. However, internal divisions were brewing. The Igbo people, who primarily live in Nigeria's southeast region, felt increasingly marginalized. They believed that their economic and political interests were being ignored by the central government. This feeling of exclusion and a sense of urgency to to protect their community led Igbo leaders to declare the southeast region as an independent state of Biafra. The Nigerian government, however, was determined to keep the country united. What followed was a brutal conflict known as the Nigerian Civil War or the Biafran War. For 3 years, from 1967 to 1970, this conflict tore Nigeria apart. Millions of lives were lost, and many of those deaths were civilians, especially children and women, who suffered from starvation due to blockades. This period remains a painful memory for many Biafrans, a symbol of suffering that still fuels the desire for independence today. When people talk about Biafra now, they are not just talking about political boundaries or land. Biafra represents a dream of a place where Igbo people and other southeastern communities feel safe, respected, and able to live with dignity. For some, Biafra is an escape from what they see as decades of unfair treatment by the Nigerian government. And this vision is why leaders like Simon Ekpa are pushing so hard for independence. Simon Ekpa is one of the leading figures in the modern Biafra movement. But who exactly is he? And how did he come to hold such a prominent role? Simon Ekpa is a Nigerian-born Finnish lawyer who has become known as the Prime Minister of the Biafra Republic government in exile. This isn't an official government, but it is a group of Biafran activists and leaders working from outside Nigeria to advocate for their people's rights. Simon Ekpa's role in the movement has brought him both support and controversy. Unlike Nnamdi Kanu, another well-known leader who remains in detention in Nigeria, Simon Ekpa operates from abroad, free to share his message without fear of immediate arrest. He uses social media to communicate directly with his followers, building support across the globe for the cause of Biafran independence. Simon Ekpa's vision for Biafra is unique. He doesn't just want independence for its own sake. He believes that an independent Biafra should be a country that aligns itself with international values, specifically the values found in human rights treaties. Recently, he announced that if Biafra gains independence, it will uphold United Nations human rights treaties. This includes a commitment to protecting people from genocide, eliminating racial discrimination, and supporting the rights of women and children. Simon Ekpa is saying in essence that Biafra would be a safe place, a place where people's rights are respected no matter who they are. For Simon Ekpa, these commitments are more than just words. They are a way to show the world that Biafra's push for independence isn't about conflict or division. It is about creating a just, fair, and peaceful society. By pleading to support these human rights conventions, Simon Ekpa hopes to gain the world respect and attention for the Biafran cause. As hopeful as the Biafran movement may sound, it hasn't been easy. There are serious challenges and criticism that Simon Ekpa and other Biafran leaders face, especially from the Nigerian government. To Nigerians' leadership, the idea of Biafra represents a threat to the country's unity. From their perspective, if Biafra were allowed to succeed, it could inspire other regions to seek independence as well, leading to instability. One major point of conflict has been the role of the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, an organization closely linked to the independent movement. IPOB's activities have caused tension with the Nigerian government, which consider it a terrorist organization, but they are not. Rather, they are a region of Nigeria that decided to split out from Nigeria due to marginalization that is being meted on them. IPOB argues that it is a peaceful movement, simply advocating for the rights of Biafrans, but some of its tactics, including the call for stay-at-home protests, have led to friction and violence in the region. Then, there is the case of Nnamdi Kanu. If you have heard about Biafra in the news over the past few years, you have probably heard his name. Nnamdi Kanu is another prominent Biafran leader, one who has inspired many with his bold statement and unyielding stance. But in 2021, he was arrested, or should I say, he was kidnapped by the Nigerian government in Kenya and brought to Nigeria, and he has remained in detention till this very day. Nnamdi Kanu's arrest or kidnap has been a major point of contention, and his imprisonment has become a symbol of the struggle for Biafran independence. Many Southeast leaders, including governors and community groups, have been advocating for Nnamdi Kanu's release. They believe that freeing Nnamdi Kanu could open the door to peace in the region. Even P2B, a popular political figure and a 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party, has spoken out in favor of Nnamdi Kanu's release. There is a feeling that releasing Nnamdi Kanu might ease tension and allow for a peaceful resolution. Lawmakers from the Southeast have even met with the Nigeria's Attorney General, Lateef Fagbemi, to discuss the possibility of Nnamdi Kanu's release, but President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has shown no sign of budging on the issue. Rather, he has vowed to keep Nnamdi Kanu in detention. The Nigerian government's refusal to release Nnamdi Kanu highlights a deep divide in the country. To the government, releasing Nnamdi Kanu could be seen as giving in to separatist demand. To Biafran supporters, keeping him detained is a sign of oppression, an example of why they feel they need to be free from Nigerians' control. Despite the challenges, Simon Ekpa and his supporters are pressing on with their plans for an independent Biafra. Simon Ekpa recently announced a significant event, the Biafra Declaration Convention, which is set to take place in Finland from November 29 to December 3, 2024. This convention is a huge step forward for the movement, as it aims to formalize the Biafran cause and present it to the world in a clear, structured way. The choice of Finland for the convention might seem unusual, but it makes sense when you consider the circumstances. Simon Ekpa lives in Finland, and holding the convention there allows him to organize freely away from the reach of the Nigerian government. Finland also represents a neutral location, a place where Biafran leaders can discuss their vision openly. The convention will focus on laying out Biafra's goals and values with a particular emphasis on human rights. Simon Ekpa has made it clear that he wants to present Biafra as a country that respects international norms and protects its citizens. This isn't just a political gathering, it is a chance for the Biafra movement to show the world that it stands for peace, justice, and equality. For Biafran supporters, the convention is a moment of hope. It is a chance to see their dream of independence taking shape in a tangible way. It is also a way to bring attention to their struggle, as the event is likely to attract international media and public interest. So why does this dream of an independent Biafra hold so much power? For many people in the Southeast region, Biafra represents more than just a political idea. It is a hope for a better future. A future where they can live without fear, where they can feel respected and valued, and where their culture and identity are celebrated. Many ordinary Biafrans support the independence movement because they feel neglected by the Nigerian government. They see Biafra as a way to escape from a system they believe has failed them. By aligning the movement with human rights, Simon Ekpa and his supporters are tapping into this deep-seated desire for a life of dignity and fairness. The Biafran diaspora also plays an important role in the movement. Biafrans living in other countries often contribute financially to the cause and work to raise awareness internationally. They feel a strong connection to their homeland and want to see it flourish as an independent nation. As hopeful as the Biafra movement may be, there are many uncertainties ahead. The path to independence is not simple, and there are many questions that remain unanswered. For example, how would an independent Biafra establish itself as a viable country? How would it handle economic, political, and security challenges? There is also the questions of how Nigeria will respond. The Nigerian government has made it clear that it opposes any form of secession. If Biafra were to declare independence, it could lead to increased tension or even conflict. And then there is the role of the international community. Simon Ekpa hopes that by aligning Biafra with human rights, he can gain support from other countries. But will this be enough to persuade powerful nations to recognize Biafra's independence? Despite these uncertainties, the Biafra movement remains strong. For supporters, the dream of Biafra is worth pursuing, no matter the obstacle. They believe that with patience, resilience, and a commitment to justice, Biafra can become a reality. In the end, the story of Biafra is one of hope and determination. It is a story of a people who have faced hardship but continue to dream of a better future. Whether or not that future includes an independent Biafra, only time will tell. But for now, Simon Ekpa and his supporters are pressing forward, committed to their vision of a free, just, and peaceful nation. To them, Biafra is already a reality.
Funding is critical. Trail the money. That's always the issue. Now we have areas of funding both locally and internationally. For the local aspects, they have a means of, they have their followers that they've empowered that contribute money to what they are doing. They go through banditry, some of them get benefit from taxes. All these things they do from within, the kidnappings is all part of it where they raise funds. And then externally, we have external people that equally support them. The issue of IPOB. There's a lot of funding that comes in there. Yes.
Are you worried? Because you know an operation,
of course, definitely.
A special operation on the sit-at-home IPOB situation in the Southeast.
Yes.
But some of the elements and the leaders of these groups are outside of the country.
Yes. We have repeatedly complained about the issue of Simon Ekpa. He is in Finland. The Finnish government are giving him all the support and he's doing what he's doing. Comments he's making. People are being killed and nothing is being done. And this is democracy. If the European Union is the one supporting democracy and this is happening and they're not taking action, then they don't mean well for Nigeria. We have said that in clear terms. We need to diplomatically find means of getting him out of whatever it is that he's doing. He must be arrested, he must be prosecuted. Look at it from the other way. Assuming he is in Nigeria and he's doing that to the Finnish government, you think the European Union will allow that happen? They definitely will not. So why are they allowing him to do what he's doing? And people like him that are doing such things. Trailing the funds is very critical. I know a lot of the Federal Central Bank, the NFIU, are doing a lot in tracking down how the funds flow. And this is part of what we call the oxygen of terrorism, is logistic, leadership, and funding. Your ability to be able to tackle those things and trail them and deny them the ability to operate will kill terrorism with good governance. Now, you can see the statistics that came in, political will. And political will is not from federal government alone. The states are critical. For me, if I look at the aspects, what do we need? Let's look at solutions. Do we have a comprehensive database as Nigerians? If you go to Chad, Cameroon, and Niger, once you enter, they know you are not a Nigerian. And they have this duty as citizens. Once you speak, the man knows you are not a Nigerian. The next thing he tells you, if he's a taxi driver, he tells you his vehicle has a problem. He's calling the gendarmes. Before you know it, the gendarmes are coming to ask you, what are you doing in our country? We don't have that. That's what we're saying is a holistic thing that we have to do. Every Nigerian has a role to play in what's going on ground. And then we must look at these things and take it up as a challenge. It's not a military or a security aspect. Everybody has a role to play in this. And that's what I'm saying.
As lobbyists for the Biafra Republic Government in Exile in Washington, D.C. Please put them on the screen. Both of them, if they have somebody else, you can bring all of them on the screen, please. Jane Moran, can give him access to mute. The same thing.
I've made them co-host, both of them,
right.
so they can.
All right, thank you very much. And
well, thank you, Your Excellency. My name is Jim Moran. I served in the United States Congress for approximately a quarter of a century. After I left the Congress, I began to represent some corporations and countries and causes that I believe in. It has been an honor to work with you, Your Excellency. Elias Gerasulis is my partner. This is primarily Elias's account, but I'm going to be working with him. While I was in the Congress, I was on the committee that funds defense and the State Department foreign operations, as well as the Foreign Relations Committee. I have an interest in Africa. I was a principal co-sponsor of the African Growth and Opportunity Act. But most importantly, I do believe that Biafran independence is a just and noble cause. And I trust that you have a bright future ahead. We will try to secure your independence. We can't promise because the politics is not a particularly predictable situation in the United States today, and justice is not always served, but we will work towards that objective. I appreciate the opportunity to work on behalf of the Biafran people, and at this point, let me turn it over to Elias. Elias?
Oh, thank you, Jim, and it's an honor to be working with you on this, and we appreciate your lending, your support, someone of your prestige and stature. That association would be so critical. So thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. And thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, Your Excellencies, and dear Biafrans in the United States and around the world. My name is Elias Gerasulis, and I am a good friend and colleague of Congressman Moran, and we are your new lobbyists here in Washington, D.C. However, you should know that we are more than just your lobbyists. We are fellow freedom fighters in the struggle for the liberation of Biafra. And similar to how your compatriots and the Biafran Defense Forces are securing your freedom on the homeland, we will be fighting for your freedom in the political and diplomatic battlefield here in Washington, D.C. And we will make sure that all these U.S. officials, all these congressmen and senators understand that the Biafran independence movement is a pure democratic civilian uprising against injustice, the very same one that we had in the United States when we declared our independence from the British 200 years ago. On a personal level, I knew I had to get involved in this struggle, not only because of my belief in the Biafran cause, but my belief in His Excellency, the Prime Minister Simon Ekpa. As I got to know the Prime Minister, I could see that he has remarkable leadership qualities and vision. And I knew that instinctively that he was a man of destiny and that he will have a very important impact in Africa in the years to come. And I thought it was a personal duty to assist him. Already, the Prime Minister has made remarkable progress and has outsmarted the Nigerian system in many ways. The Prime Minister has done this with the self-referendum. He has done this with opening diplomatic liaison offices around the world. And I think by establishing a proper Biafran lobby in Washington, D.C., the Prime Minister has delivered his master stroke. And if you can look at the Nigerian media and the social media, you will see that this is something that's been highly publicized. And I think this is because they understand the moment that the United States starts to gain more support for the Biafran cause, it will be a game changer. Because when the United States leads, other countries follow. Congressman Moran and myself are your voice to the U.S. Congress, your voice to the White House, your voice to the State Department, your voice to the highest offices in this great land. And we will not stop until victory is achieved. Long live a free, independent, and sovereign Biafra. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that brilliant speech there.
Let me tell you, we have just started. We will burn Nigeria down. That is what it requires to protect our people, protect our land. We will burn them down. And after that, therefore we come. I want you to understand that if you want peace, you prepare for war. What I've seen for the past 2 years is nothing to write home about. It's not anywhere in the media. Our people are being butchered, head chopped off by the people who are supposed to be protecting those people. The people they call governors in the southeast part of Biafra has become the tools.
Good evening, fellow Biafrans. I welcome all of you to this emergency State of the Union address of the Biafra Prime Minister, myself, Mazi Simon Ekpa Njoku. My fellow Biafrans, this is month of October 2024, and we are very close to our convention in Finland. The security of life and property of Biafra people will always be the most priority of the Biafra government. And we will continue to respond proactively in solving and resolving the issue of security, especially when our people and our land comes under serious threat. Nigeria as a failed state will continue to fail to protect those that call themselves Nigerian citizens. The call for Biafra self-determination through the secessionists of Biafra or through the secession of Biafra as Nigeria terrorist state fondly call it is deeply rooted in historical grievances. The economic grievances and economic disparity and socio-political marginalization, and now with the renewed Islamic Usman Danfodio expansionists. Our struggle has become a struggle for survival of the Biafra people. For many decades, Biafrans, both those who have agitated in the past, Biafrans, for many of these agitators have argued that for leaving Nigeria is not just about identity, but today it has become about the survival, progress, and justice. My fellow Biafrans, in the early hour of today, 1st October 2024, the Biafra Defense Forces has destroyed, neutralized the proposed facility that was built to house and train Boko Haram in a place called Ehimembano in Imo State, former Imo State. Any more of such facility will be destroyed by Biafra forces. We call on Biafrans to give credible information on any further project of the Nigeria terrorist state targeted at bringing in Boko Haram for training in Biafra land, or to be used to house fighters that the intention was to use against Biafra forces. Because the Nigeria terrorist army has been defeated, and all they do is to bring in fighters in whatever guise. Biafra land is not good for Chinese loan. The Biafra people were excluded during the time Nigeria state took loan from China. Our land and our people are not good to be part of the dividend of Chinese loan. Biafra land is not good for rail line, where every part of Nigeria, as they created it fraudulently today, has benefited from the rail line, except Biafra land. Biafra land is not good to have seaport, irrespective of the fact that the Gulf of Guinea is connected to the Biafra land. Biafra land is not good for the headquarters of many multinational corporations that came to Nigeria or Niger area to do business only and solely for the natural resources that is found in Biafra land. None of these multinational corporations has their head office or headquarters in Biafra land to create jobs for the Biafra people, indigenous people. Biafra land is therefore not good for IDP camp or in any name that will accommodate any terrorists from northern Nigeria or from many parts of the world. Biafra land is not a dumping ground for terrorists. For that reason, the Biafra Defense Forces have destroyed the property and the facilities, and of course, anything that is connected to it will be destroyed in Biafra land. It is a message that we are sending out to the terrorist state to prove the capacity that Biafra government controls Biafra territory from exile, and of course, with the activities of the de facto government in the homeland. The responsiveness of the Biafra government has shown that the Biafra government take the security of lives and properties of our people, especially our women and children, very seriously. We have fought Nigeria terrorism for the past 3 years, secretly. And I wish one day the world will want to know what has happened in Biafra land from 2021 to this date. And we have been able to secure successfully the land of Biafra. It is only in Biafra land that our people are not living in IDP camp. Across Nigeria, every other region, people are living in IDP camp. Like they have come shambolically, claiming that people from the north will be moved to Biafra land, where Biafra forces and defense have been able to secure our land against the terrorism. We also have intel that the proposed movement of these people were actually in order to bring in Boko Haram fighters to Biafra land to fight against Biafra forces. My fellow Biafran, in Yoruba land, the Yorubas are taking refuge in neighboring country, Benin Republic, for insecurity by the Nigeria terrorism or Nigeria terrorist state in the name of the Islamic expansionist Usman Dan Fodio legacy. Many Yorubas are today living in Benin Republic. They left their ancestral land as they are looking for a safe place to stay. The people that have chased them out of their ancestral land are Fulanis. They call them Fulani herdsmen. They have occupied Yoruba land, and today many of them have left their land and they are not secured in their own land. Biafra land will not be the same. Biafra will continue to respond to Nigeria terrorism plan and tactics very ruthlessly in defense of our land. While Nigeria terrorist state have openly supported Palestine independence and continue to financially support terrorism against Israel, the Biafra people will continue to stand with Israel, and at the same time, we are not against those agitating for independence of South Palestine or for self-determination. But we are strongly against the terrorism against Israel and against the state of Israel. Nigeria always go to the United Nations General Assembly to advocate for the freedom and self-determination of Palestine, and these are people who have not fixed their own problem in Niger area. Today, we will do worse than what the Palestinians have done, if that is what will make the world to listen to us. Palestine have not lost 3 million children. We did. We lost 3 million children from 1967 to 1970. Palestine have not lost what Biafra lost. Palestine do not have what Biafra have. We power Nigeria's economy from our natural resources. What do we get in return? Marginalization, killing, pogroms, and what have you. On this note, just for the latecomers who have not followed the event of Nigeria and Biafra for a very long time, I want the Biafra media to play the representation and advocating of the independence of Palestine by the former president of Nigeria in the name of Muhammadu Buhari, because I have come across many people commenting on social media and they were outraged about the current vice president, who is, by the way, the founder of Boko Haram, advocating for independent state of Palestine. I would like the media team to play that, as on that particular rock I will build my church today.
We need to remind ourselves of the principles that led to the founding of the United Nations. Among those are peaceful coexistence and self-determination of peoples. In this context, Mr. President, the unresolved question of self-determination for the Palestinian people and those of Western Sahara, both nations having been adjudged by the United Nations as qualifying for this inalienable right, must now be assured and fulfilled without any further delay or obstacle. The international community has come to pin its hopes on the resolving Palestinian issue through the two-state solution, which recognizes the legitimate right of each state to exist in peace and security. The world has no more excuses or reasons to delay the implementation of the long list of Security Council resolutions on this question. Neither do we have the moral right to deny any people their freedom or condemn them indefinitely to occupation and blockade.
Thank you very much. I would also like to have the latest video from the United Nations General Assembly of the current Vice President of Nigeria, who was the founder of Boko Haram. Thank you very much.
We are all witnesses to the heart-wrenching situation in Gaza and other Palestinian territories. We cannot discuss war and peace, conflicts and resolution, or humanitarian imperatives today without reflecting on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict that has been raging since 7th August last year. Of course, the conflict predates this period and has been simmering for a better part of half a century. What it tells us is that the international community has failed to live up to the spirit and aspirations of the United Nations to rid the world of inequality, violence, and domination of one people by another. Justice is antithetical to revenge. Freedom is an inalienable right and a natural entitlement that cannot be denied to any people. The Palestinian people deserve their independence. They deserve to have a home of their own in territories already recognized by this very assembly and by international law, which is being routinely ignored. Nigeria continues to urge efforts to bring back on track the two-state solution that offers the prospect for a new beginning for the region.
Thank you very much. My fellow Biafrans and listeners from across the world, with the clip you just listened to, the last one is the current Vice President of Nigeria, who is the founder of Boko Haram. The first video you listened to was the former President of Nigeria, who also was one of the Islamic fundamentalism pillar in Nigeria and in Africa. Nigeria with this has demonstrated to be enemy of America and enemy of the West. While the Biafra will continue to support the state of Israel, have you seen that this is a black and white that can never mix together? Nigeria have advocated for the independent state of Palestine, which we are not against as a people looking for freedom. But what we are against is terrorism against the state of Israel. And the 7th of October attack, terrorism attack against Israel, Biafra people continue to condemn that terrorist attack. Nigeria, having advocated in 2024 for the independent state of Palestine, should be bold enough to also accept the outcome of the Biafra self-referendum in peace or in pieces. I want you all to understand that Nigeria can never be trusted. America can never trust Nigeria. The West can never trust Nigeria. Nigeria remains an Islamic fundamentalist country that all their agenda is to support anything anti-West and anti-America. It does not matter how they pretend with you today, they will end up becoming your worst enemy. The earlier the world, the Western world and America accept the state of Biafra as only true allies in the West Africa, the better for them. Examples are many. I will use Iraq. I can also use Afghanistan. After 23 years, America pumped billions of dollars into Afghanistan. Today, Taliban are completely in charge of American weapons that America struggled for 23 years to stabilize that country. Nigeria will do worse than Afghanistan if Biafra is not supported. There are several compelling reasons why as many as 50 million Biafrans who voted in the ongoing Biafra self-referendum used their vote to advocate for independence of Biafra. The reasons are very numerous, and I will take it one at a time. From the historical injustices against Biafra people, the Nigeria genocidal war against Biafra from 1967 to 1970, also known as the Biafra War, was a brutal chapter in Nigeria history. The eastern region, known as Biafra, declared independence as the Republic of Biafra after enduring many years of systematic marginalization and violent pogroms in the northern Nigeria and other parts of Nigeria. The war resulted in an estimated 1 to 3 million deaths, children, primarily from starvation due to the blockade imposed by the Nigeria terrorist government. This tragic history has left deep scars in millions of Biafrans and, of course, in Biafra consciousness, especially when the post-war reconciliation was superficial and incomplete, with the IRRR. The continuous reference of the Biafra War serves as a painful reminder that the Biafra people were once persecuted and betrayed by a country that was supposed to protect them. That betrayal has tripled today after over 50 years. We have seen the killings of Biafrans and destruction of their businesses across Nigeria. Not just in the northern Nigeria today, but also in the southwest Yoruba land. In Lagos, to be precise, we saw pogroms against Biafrans in Lagos after 2023 election. And I will take it on the economic exploitation. As Nigeria celebrates their failed independence, the division of Nigeria into 6 geopolitical zones without the consent of the people was an injustice taken too far, that have cut the wound of the war even deeper than as we thought. The eastern region, which is supposed to be called Southeastern or Southeast region, in accordance with the geography, today it is called the Southeast instead of the Southern region. They manipulated the geography, manipulated the demography in order to fight the freedom and suppress and subjugate Biafra people not to rise up. The region which would form the heart of modern Biafra is rich in natural resources, particularly oil. Despite this wealth, the artificial and the fake Southeast feel disappropriately excluded from the economic and political benefit of their own land. The so-called Niger Delta, which majority falls within the proposed Biafra borders of today, generate a significant portion of Nigeria wealth through crude oil. Yet, that region remains underdeveloped, suffering from poor infrastructure, environmental degradation, and poverty. Yet, they are faced with Nigeria terrorist army bombardment, like the recent killing in the Biafra Okoma community in Delta. The argument for Biafra is also an economic one. The resources of the Biafra people are being siphoned to enrich a far distant federal government in Abuja, while the region remains underdeveloped. That is coming to an end with the declaration of the restoration of independent state of Biafra, coming this year, 2024. My fellow Biafrans, we also suffered what I call the political marginalization within the Nigeria state. Since the end of the Biafra war, Biafra people have constantly been sidelined from the Nigeria political landscape, despite being one of the 3 largest ethnic groups. No Igbo-speaking Biafra person has held the presidency since 1983. Key government positions, security appointments, and the military leadership role are disproportionately skewed in favor of the northern Hausa, Fulani, and western Yoruba elites. Many Igbo-speaking Biafrans believe, and of course it's a fact, that this is a deliberate exclusion from power to prevent their voices from being heard in decision-making process. While those who happen to be very close to power have sold their subconsciousness to self-aggrandizement, those who may have positive agenda that could shape the country's future are not allowed. Today, we are no longer agitating for inclusion, but for complete freedom of Biafra people, where the aspiration of every Biafran will be achieved, where the potential will be attained, where Biafrans will compete among nations in innovation, where free education will be mandatory, where our hospitals will be equipped, and the national insurance scheme will be completely functional. My fellow Biafrans, compelling reasons why Biafrans are leaving Nigeria are many. I'm just taking a few of them today. We have also cultural and ethnic disparities. Nigeria is an amalgamation of hundreds of ethnic groups with distinct cultures, languages, and worldviews. Biafrans, with their entrepreneurial spirit, democratic social structure, and emphasis on individual merit, often find themselves at odds with a more hierarchical feudal system, and I call it nomadic system of the north, and the communal political structure of the Yoruba West. Many believe that the deep-seated differences between the ethnic groups in Nigeria makes it difficult to forge a cohesive national identity, which is fact, leading to continuous frictions and disharmony, and I call it dangerous diversity, which will never ever work in the modern age. Biafra, on the other hand, would allow the people to govern themselves according to their own culture and cultural value and system in a confederation and a confederating state of Biafra. The insecurity and violence orchestrated by the Nigeria terrorist state against Biafra people from inception, ethnic violence, Islamic expansionist violence, banditry, and terrorism have been on the rise across Nigeria, with the Biafra people often caught in the crossfire. In particular, they come in the form of Boko Haram, Fulani herdsmen, and other extremist groups. They have targeted civilians, with the government sometimes supporting them to offer adequate protection. In many cases, the Biafra people are specifically victimized, with the Nigeria state either unwilling or unable to ensure their security. The renewed call for Biafra is rooted in the fact that an independent state of Biafra would be better equipped to secure the lives and property of its citizens, free from corruption and inefficiencies of the Nigeria terrorist government. I want to remind you that a few years ago, heads were being beheaded in Biafra land. Today, that particular insecurity killings of Biafra have ended with the emergence of the Biafra Defense Force, and of course, with the formation of the Biafra government, both de facto government and government in exile. We are also facing, within the Nigeria state, youth unemployment and economic stagnation. The Biafra people are renewed for their entrepreneurial prowess, with successful business ventures both within Nigeria and across the world. Despite this, many young Biafrans face a high level of unemployment and underemployment. The Nigeria terrorist government inability to create an enabling environment for business growth and industrialization disproportionately affect the Southeast and South-South, which made up the entire Biafra land. The region poor infrastructure, including electricity, road, education, hinders the full realization of the economic potential of Biafra people. An independent state of Biafra will prioritize regional development, focusing on innovation, trade, and infrastructure, on combat by the inefficiencies of the central government. Biafra, as an independent nation, will secure the Gulf of Guinea and, of course, end the piracy in the high sea, which has caused serious tension, carrying out international trade using the high sea and waterways. The emergence of Biafra will put an end to the piracy in the high sea. I want you to understand that the more you try to deprive yourself of this truth, the more you are caught in the cobweb of the truth. The resurgence of ethnic nationalism in Nigeria. We have seen in recent time the resurgence of ethnic nationalism caused by the dangerous diversity. Example of it, if you go to social media, you're going to find out there is a very big resurgence of ethnic nationalism. Our sister, for example, in Canada, her case is an example of that. Nigeria swing into action within 1 minute, writing to Canadian government, the House of Assembly or House of Rep wrote a letter within short period of time. Yorubas on social media, of course, because she is a Biafran. In recent years, the global climate has become more supportive of self-determination and the secessionist movement. From the independence referenda in Scotland, even in Catalonia, though they are not yet independent, but the creation of this awareness in support of self-referendum has gained global support. My fellow Biafrans, we have seen the state creation like the state of Sudan, South Sudan. There is a growing recognition that ethnic groups have right to determine their own future, just like you listen from the Nigeria representative at the United Nations, the current vice president of Nigeria, supporting this particular move. The Biafra government has also continued to argue in international stage that the right to self-determination is enshrined in international law, and the Biafra people have also activated this particular law by organizing their own self-referendum, which Biafra people are very happy to participate in and have voted, and the voting is still ongoing and will continue until November 28, 2024. The opportunity to vote on their future through a peaceful and democratic process organized by the Biafra government in exile and the de facto government in the homeland. The referendum has recorded over 50 million votes as of today, 1st of October 2024. My fellow Biafrans, I want you to understand that the call for Biafra independence is not a rejection of Nigeria or a rejection of Britain, but it is a demand for justice, dignity, and equality. For many Biafrans, remaining in a system that continually marginalizes, exploits, and devalues them is untenable. Biafra offers the promise of self-determination, economic progress, cultural preservation, and security of a nation where the Biafra spirit can strive without the constraint of a broken federation. While the road to Biafra independence is fraught with challenges, the desire for a better, more equitable future fuels the call for the exit of Biafra from Nigeria. And Simon Ekpa is leading Biafra out of Nigeria from the 2nd of December 2024. Biafra government has activated international diplomatic tussle against Nigeria at the highest level. My fellow Biafrans, with this, I welcome you to the month of October 2024. We have just less than 2 months to kickstart our convention in Finland. May God bless the state of Biafra. May God bless the state of Israel. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless Finland, and may God bless Europe. May God bless the Western world. We love you all. From Biafra people, from the Biafra Liberation Army, from the Biafra government, to all of you. We stand together in this particular time of trial. Israel, stand very strong. You have your brothers from Biafra land, and nothing can separate us. From here, from me, airborne to the Biafra Defense Forces, airborne to the IDF, airborne to those who believe that freedom is taken and not given. May God bless you. May God bless Biafra.
This is the end of our news updates. Please click the icon on the top right corner of your screen to watch my next video. You will enjoy it. I will see you again in my next update. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye for now.